Hold that thought. I'm opening a pack. Oh, I just got a really good card. That's awesome. Okay. Everything else was garbage. The first card I pulled was great. Pokemon TCG Pocket, everyone. That shit is awesome. How we doing? Welcome to another episode of Friday Phil. If you guys couldn't tell by the thumbnail, there is a lot of stuff to talk about. We had Cinemacon this past week. There was quite some interesting revelations coming out of Cinemacon through a variety of different projects. There's a couple other things off top that I'm also going to talk about too. Most importantly, we will be paying tribute to the late, great Val Kilmer. Obviously, that is the first order of business on this illustrious Friday following the fallout of Cinemacon. I am your host. You all know who I am. My name is Phil, aka Unfiltered. You've probably seen me on Council of Creators. You've probably seen me on Party Nation, and you've also probably seen me on the Vodka Stream, as well as other places in the past, like DC TV Podcast via Multiverse of Color, which I am no longer a part of, but still, you've probably seen me there too. And I've been in other places. I was formerly of the Four Nerds and a bunch of other shit. So, you know, it is what it is. Hope everyone's having a great Friday. I wish I was. Because bear with me, people. Like I'm actually in quite a bit of pain. My neck fucking hurts. Like I've got some like neck pain going on right here, and it's been bugging me all fucking day. But I am here to do this show for everyone who usually comes and stops by, and I hope everyone again is having a pretty great day, even if I may not be. But like I said, we got some stuff to talk about again from the fallout of Cinemacon. Do me that favor, you know, this thing. In case you already haven't, I greatly appreciate it. Hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure that notification bell is on. Anyway. Who all is in the chat? I see Donovan, as per usual, leaving me a slew of comments. And yes, I will be getting to some of them. Dalton Bell, what's going on, man? Hope you're doing well. Braden, how's it hanging, man? Good to see you. Snyder Cult fan saying James Gunn sneak peek divided the trailer. Trailer divided the DC fan base. I mean, okay. I'm kind of blown away because this is not surprising, but at the same time, it's a little surprising because anyone with an actual brain would know that the DC fandom had been long divided long before James Gunn even became head of DC Studios. He's just the new guy people are pointing the finger at. Like, I've even seen people get mad at the fact that James Gunn didn't post some kind of, you know, tribute or memoriam thing for Val Kilmer. Because, you know, he was Batman once upon a time. So, you know, am I surprised that people from the cult would do such a dumb thing? No, not particularly. It's honestly par for the course when it comes to that shit. Really not surprised. Not surprised at all that they would do some dumb shit like that. And it doesn't shock me that some of them feel the need to peddle this bullshit of, oh, this new trailer has divided the fan base. No. The fan base has been divided for a long time. A really long time. So, I don't know why you think this is the case now, when it's been the case for quite some time. Unless you're like one of those Snyder fans that's only been around since, you know, 2020, pushing that release the Snyder Cut hashtag, and then eventually morphed it into Restore the Snyderverse. If you want to follow a grift, but I don't fucking know. I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it. We got some other stuff to talk about today. First and foremost, as I mentioned, Val Kilmer. This news came literally like the night of like night before. Yeah, April 1st. No, it was literally on the. Or no, it was coming out of that. It was like sometime in that time. But, Val Kilmer was definitely just a legend in his own right. He had so many roles. Obviously, a lot of people remember him as Iceman, Top Gun. He was Doc Holliday in Tombstone. He was in Heat. He was in Willow. The Saint. He was Jim Morrison in The Doors. Like, Val Kilmer had a very prestigious, long resume of some just absolute fucking banger movies, some of which I've seen multiple times. Funny enough, I actually just watched Kiss Kiss Bang Bang for the first time in a long time. The day after he died, I threw on Kiss Kiss Bang Bang because it had been so long since I had seen that movie. And god damn, like, if that man doesn't pour his all into his performances, like, it's a shock. It's a fucking shock at just how well versed that man was with his acting. And then of course he beat throat cancer too. And of course, anyone who listens to The Eternal Night, my Batman podcast, knows there's a little bit there at the end from Batman Forever where he says, I'm both Bruce Wayne and Batman. Like, Val Kilmer is arguably one of the most underrated actors to take on the cape and cowl. He's the only actor to only play the role one time in a movie. He holds the trophy for portraying Bruce Wayne only one time. That's something that George Clooney cannot say. That's something Michael Keaton cannot say. That is something Christian Bale can't say. Currently, Robert Pattinson can say that, but we know he's getting a second movie, and it's hopefully going to film at the end of the year. But Val Kilmer has the dignity and honor of only playing Batman one time. And that one time, it was not easy. He notoriously clashed with Joel Schumacher on certain things in that movie. He was the only one playing the straight man in that film where a lot of other characters were kind of camping it up and acting a little over the top. He was literally the only one just playing it straight. And frankly, like, I think he was an excellent Bruce Wayne and a really good Batman. Like, I had no issue whatsoever. That was the first Batman movie I ever saw. I love Batman Forever. Batman Forever is fucking great. I don't care what anyone says. If you don't like that movie, that's your fucking problem. But, he's also in Heat. Like my cat, she's in Heat right now. That's why she's fucking yelping a lot. Yeah, you. Talking about you. But, like, I love Val Kilmer. He's also in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. He plays fucking old man, blunt man. And he's just, man, he was so fucking good in everything he did. He was just such a damn good actor, man. And I'm sad. I'm sad to have seen that he's no longer here. He will be greatly missed for sure. Like, I just, when I heard the news, I was just devastated. I love Val Kilmer. He was a great fucking actor. Gone too soon. 65, way too young. So, and dying of pneumonia nonetheless too. I was just like, the fuck, man. So, this one's for you, Val. Even though this isn't like a alcohol beverage or anything, but much love to him and his family. I know the news was broken, I believe, by his daughter. I don't remember. I don't remember exactly who broke the news, but someone did. Apparently, Tom Cruise honored him at Cinemacon, which doesn't surprise me in the slightest. They worked very closely together on Top Gun and Maverick. So, yeah, like, I was just superbly devastated by that news, and may he rest in peace. He was absolutely a fucking legend in this industry, in the entertainment industry for sure. Love him to death. He will be missed. You know who else I love to death? And this is going to cause some controversy too, of course. Mr. One Zack Snyder, who will be producing and directing a film called Brawler for the United Fighting Championship, whatever the fuck it's called, the UFC. Saw this news, and yeah, this definitely caught some attention from some people. That's for sure. Here's the piece from Variety. Let me pull it. Go ahead and pull it up. There we go. All right. So, Zack Snyder to direct Brawler, teaming with Dana White's UFC and the Saudi minister Turkey Alashika. I fucking doubt I said that right, but I tried. That's the only thing that matters. Snyder has signed on to direct Brawler, a new feature about an LA man who rises into the world of Ultimate Fighting Championship. There we go, Ultimate Fighting Championship. The filmmaker, who will also co-write and produce, is teaming with Dana White's UFC for the film, as well as His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh, chairman of the General Entertainment Authority of Saudi Arabia and owner of boxing magazine The Ring. Quote, I've been a fan of Zack's work for years. His unique style, from his iconic action sequences to his sweeping visuals and intensely emotional storytelling, coupled with his humanizing portrayal of deeply flawed characters, is singular, Alishk said in a statement. Couldn't think of a better person to partner with to bring the UFC to the big screen. The Ring magazine, with its 103-year legacy, will support to ensure the project's success. His Excellency, I'm just going to continue to call him the Excellency because I feel really dumb and bad about probably mispronouncing this gentleman's name. And Snyder have a shared vision to create a film about UFC, said Dana White, CEO of UFC. They are both very passionate about this project to show fans what it takes to become a UFC champion. It's an incredibly ambitious project, and I look forward to seeing it come to life. This is the part where people are probably going to get a little nervous. Shea Hatton and Kurt Johnstad will also serve as co-writers. Producers alongside Zack include his wife, of course, Deborah Snyder, as well as Wes Collar for their banner Stone Quarry. Alashik, Johnstad, and Hatton are executive producers, along with Craig Borsari, Chief Content Creator Officer of UFC. Behind every great fighter is the story of how they got there, said Snyder. UFC is the world leader in combat sports, and I'm honored to be partnering with them to tell this incredible story. Goes on to say, as the UFC project takes shape, Snyder remains in development on an untitled feature on Netflix, which will focus on the Los Angeles Police Department. The director has directed 3 other films for the streamer, which include Army of the Dead, as well as the 2 Rebel Moon films. Other credits include the DC Comics films, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and that quote should be changed to Zack Snyder's Justice League. And then it kind of gives some brief history on the UFC, etc., etc. Snyder is represented by CAA, Sloan-Offer and Weber, Dern, and IDPR. Okay, so obviously, you know, I'm not really a UFC guy. I'm a huge Zack Snyder fan. Clearly. I will probably end up watching this movie. Am I, like, surprised that Dana White is associated with this? No. He's the CEO of UFC, so it doesn't shock me in the slightest that he is a producer on this. Believe me, I'm well aware of his political ties, and I know of Zack Snyder's political views, and I know that they are very opposite. But that's the thing. If people can fucking come together and put their political bullshit aside to make a movie, at the end of the day, everything should be gravy. I'm not saying, you know, if you have your opinions of Dana White or whoever, fine. Then that's you're well within your right to not want to watch this movie because someone is associated with it you're not a fan of. I get that 100%. For sure. And even to Donovan's point, like it being produced by the boxing and like a major organizer for the boxing industry in Saudi Arabia. I mean, how are films even funded these days to begin with, right? Not to say that, like, you know, every other film or whatever is being funded by Saudi Arabia, but it's just like if Saudi Arabia wants to front the bill for a UFC movie, then I'm sure that takes some pressure off of any other studio that was looking into funding this movie. But considering the popularity of the UFC phenomena, I think that it would be in some of these studios' best interest, or at least one of them. They're going to need a distributor. There will be a distributor for this fucking movie. Be it Netflix, be it Amazon, Warner Brothers, like, it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, they funded it, but they're still going to need a distributor. So, I'm going to watch it. Zack Snyder makes a movie, I will fucking watch it. I do my due diligence. I watch the damn movie. I judge it on that merit alone. So, I mean, Anthony Dorsey, who friend, I call him friend of the internet. You know, we went back and forth. We went back and forth in it casually on threads, not in a, you know, boo hiss venomous way, but just, you know, the where we both stand on, like, you know, whether or not we would watch this. And we kind of approached it from a similar perspective. I think he's leaning a little more towards, if it was anyone else, it'd probably be a hard pass, because he's not a UFC guy. I'm not a UFC guy. Like, we definitely both are in that camp. If this wasn't a Zack Snyder movie, I'd probably be like, okay, fuck it, I don't care. But because it's him, I'll watch it. I'm a fan of Zack. I love what Zack's done. And I'll watch whatever he makes. I don't have a problem with that. And I get if people have a problem with Dana White. I get that 100%. If that is a reason for you not to watch this movie, you're well within your right to feel that way and do that. I'm not going to sit here and make fun of someone for not wanting to watch a fucking movie. I mean, hell, how many times have I clowned Taika Waititi and said I'm never going to watch a movie he's made? And that's true. Like any other thing he's made that it wasn't pertinent to Marvel or Star Wars, I haven't watched. Because I just don't like what he does as a filmmaker. I don't like some of the people he works with. You know, like I just don't care. So if someone doesn't want to watch this movie purely because of, you know, political stances and Dana White's involvement with the current administration or whatever, fuck it. That's your business. I get it 100%. But if you can separate the art from the artist, more power to you. And I know that is a very not easy thing to do, depending on what art and artist you are talking about. I mean, case in point, you know, this is kind of going on the other end of the spectrum, right? In a completely different direction. But, you know, Ethan Van Sciver. When I first started reading comics, one of the first books I ever picked up was Green Lantern Rebirth. The art in that book is amazing. Ethan Van Sciver is a fucking awful human being. Okay? It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do to separate the art and the artist easily. Now, how much of an artist is Dana White, right? Like that is another pertinent question to ask. Like, is he even really an artist, or is he just like the face, front man, producer, what the fuck ever? You know? I don't know. I think he will have involvement. I think that he will maybe dictate something on the script, but I think if he's I think if he's teaming with Zach and Kurt Johnstad and Shea Hatton, and you know, that we're talking about a guy who just runs the Ultimate Fighting Championship, where people come into a ring, they go into an octagon, they beat the fucking dog shit out of each other, and that's the entertainment. I can't imagine that Dana White is going to be sitting in there roughing up the story with Zach and Kurt and Shea. Like I can't see that actually happening. You know, this is why they were hired. So let them do their thing. So Antonio says A24 is another studio. I don't know. I mean, they've done some wicked shit like Civil War. But if they produced it or rather if they distributed it, I don't know. Like I guess they could. I just think that since UFC is such a popular piece of culture today, I just see, you know, like a Paramount or a Universal or, you know, a bigger studio just nabbing up the distribution rights to this shit. I can see that happening without question. It'd be fucking hilarious if it was like Disney. If Disney fucking bought this, got the distribution rights to this, or one of their subsidiaries got the distribution rights to this, I would fucking laugh. I would laugh so hard if Disney ended up getting some of the distribution of this. I would laugh my fucking ass off. Because that would just be like the wildest ad-lib headline you could fucking throw together. Zack Snyder UFC movie distributed by Disney. So, hold that thought. Okay, sorry about that. Put it in Century Fox if that was the case. Yeah, they might. They probably would be 20th Century. You're right. It just might be 20th Century. Maybe. I don't know. If Disney were to get a hold of it. Speaking of acquiring an IP, this definitely happened. Coyote vs. Acme is gonna be shown. It's gonna get released. There we go. There we are. I forget, was this last week? No, that's earlier news. I need the complete set. Yep, here we go. Okay, this is from Deadline. This is from Deadline. Warner Brothers completes worldwide sale of Coyote vs. Acme. Ketchup Entertainment today confirmed their complete deal. This was 4 days ago, so like March 31st was Monday. That the sale we told you about a couple weeks ago, the previously shelved Coyote vs. Acme. Ketchup Entertainment confirmed they completed their deal for worldwide rights to the live-action animated hybrid film to bring Looney Tunes characters Wile E. Coyote to the big screen. Pegged for $50 million range, and the film is expected to get a theatrical release in 2026. Quote, this is from Gareth West, the CEO of Ketchup Entertainment. We are thrilled to have made a deal with Warner Brothers Pictures to bring this film to audiences worldwide. Coyote v. Acme is a perfect blend of nostalgia and modern storytelling, capturing the essence beloved Looney Tunes characters while introducing them to a new generation. We believe it will resonate with longtime fans and newcomers alike. Let's see. Despite test screening well, the project became a high-profile casualty of Warner Brothers cost-cutting 2 years ago and had been sitting on the shelf for more than a year. The studio reportedly screened the movie for a string of buyers in early 24 with a price tag around $70 million, which is how much the film is said to have cost. Studio sources claim to us they didn't get any offers at the time. Shelving the movie put noses out of the joint, with talks of potential tax write-down among those dismayed were Lego movie creator and director Phil Lord. The film stars Forte calling the move fucking bullshit. The deal by Ketchup marks a significant record outlay for the company, whose previous releases include Michael Keaton's star Good Rich, comic book reboot Hellboy the Crooked Man, Ben Affleck thriller Hypnotic, Michael Franco and Jessica Chastain's drama Memory. Ketchup also rescued The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie last year, and I have not seen that yet. But cool. Hey, awesome. I want to watch this movie. I like Wile E. Coyote enough, and I will watch the fuck out of this. Definitely. I have, intrigue. Definite intrigue. But you already know that some motherfuckers who were hoping this would stay canned are probably just going, God damn it! Well, so it's funny. I actually reached out to a couple friends about the money about all of this, right? So if Warner Brothers had initially wrote it off for $30 million and then they turn around and sell it to Ketchup for $50 million, do they still retain that $30 million tax write-off? The answer is no, they do not. So what happens is, instead of taking the money from the tax write-off, they now instead take the $50 million that they sold it for. However, since this is the case, Whatever this generates at the box office, none of it would go to WB. They made the movie, sure, but distribution, all that shit, whatever this makes at the box office, all the profit goes directly to Ketchup Entertainment. So if this lands big, someone at Warner Brothers is going to be fucking kicking themselves in the ass. Little movie perp ask. Batgirl next. No. Batgirl is not next. Let me tell you why. Because Coyote vs. Acme was a completed movie. Scored and all. Ready to go. Did not need much of anything. It now just needs a marketing campaign and a theatrical release. Batgirl was never going to get that. Because number one, the movie was canned and axed right as post-production started. They did not have a completed score for the movie. They did not have finalized visual effects. And to top it all off, James Gunn and Peter Safran took over at the absolute worst time when that movie was entering its post-production stage and then deciding to go their own route with the DCU, which not only meant canceling Batgirl, but also meant each movie coming out in 2023, minus Blue Beetle, was going to suffer some way, somehow. And even Blue Beetle, to an extent, suffered too. Like, The Flash, we could have a conversation about The Flash and just how 10 Ways to Sunday fuck that movie got. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, well, the post-credit scene of that is a result of the genius that is Peter Safran not understanding a damn thing about who to put where in a post-credit scene. And then Aquaman the Lost Kingdom, kind of a similar situation with The Flash. You locked it, then you unlocked it to do some reshoots, and you're left with this fucking mishmash mess of a movie that you have no idea what to do with because the new studio heads are like, yeah, we're going in a bit of a different direction. But hey, at least Jason Momoa gets to stick around as Lobo, right? That's all that matters. But long story short, little movie perp, no. It ain't happening. Batgirl ain't fucking happening. And I would be shocked if Adil El-Arbi and Bilal Falal decided to work with James Gunn and Peter Safran. I would genuinely be surprised if they took on a DCU Studios or DC Studios DCU movie. I would be fucking surprised if they ended up taking one. I really would. Leslie Grace, I don't see her at all being like, yeah, no, you fucking canceled my movie, but yeah, I'll come and do another one for you. Ain't no fucking way. Ain't no fucking way Leslie Grace comes back and does something in that realm anytime soon. And if she does, bet your ass Marvel Studios probably already gave her a phone call. Ow. Neck hurts. Neck hurts, neck hurts, neck hurts. But yeah, man, sorry. I don't think Batgirl's getting the treatment. Same thing. One of my friends in a group chat I'm in asked me the same thing. He was like, is Batgirl next? And I had to lay it out for him. I was like, no. And on top of that, like, had they released that movie, it would have just continued the confusing direction that the DCEU was probably already in. I mean, you had Michael Keaton as Batman, and you had J.K. Simmons as Jim Gordon. Enough said. Enough said on that. God, what am I missing in the chat? Jesus Christ. Jesus, tap dancing Christ. Chainsaw. It's funny they sell off this film, but announced they won't make any more Looney Tunes. Well, Chainsaw, they did, like Warner Brothers Animation did announce they are doing more Looney Tunes films. Oh, I read that wrong. It's funny that they sell this off, but announce they want to make more. Okay, yeah, I misread that. My bad, dude. Oh, the best revenge in the ass clown, David Zaslav. I hope the movie makes over $200 million. By the way, James Gunn is producer for this movie, just in case people didn't know that. Of course he is. Of course he is. Of course, when people saw this, people begging for the Ayer cut. Meanwhile, that was from a different DC regime at WB, and they need to move on from that. I mean, I don't think that's even a big ask. I mean, David Ayer himself has said, like, finishing the Ayer cut wouldn't even cost that much. So it's really not a big of an ask. What's up, Chris? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you, my friend. Predator Badlands looks cool. Yeah. Let's talk about some Cinemacon stuff, right? Let's talk about Cinemacon. I have that up here. I think that was all I had as far as the other stuff goes. Yeah. Well, there was also an article about John Boyega calling out racist Star Wars fans. I thought that was just absolutely chef's kiss. Like, good on him for just calling out, idiotic Star Wars fans who make everything, racially motivated in terms of how they interpret their content. But him calling them out was just peak glory, in my humble opinion. But let's move on to Cinemacon. All right. Cinemacon was all this week. Every major studio was there. You had exhibitors. You had critics. You had, for whatever reason, influencers who got a press badge or whatever. But you had, the big wigs, the studios themselves there presenting their shit for 2025 and beyond. In some cases, more than others. So let's go in order, right? Let's go in order from the ones that I know I want to talk about. Because Lionsgate only really had, at least the only thing I can think of that Lionsgate had that piqued my interest was the John Wick stuff. They announced they announced that the Kane spinoff with Donnie Yen, being directed and produced by Donnie Yen, will film later this year. Ballerina comes out in June. John Wick 5 is in the works, as well as an anime prequel that goes over the story of how John Wick lost his wife and the dog, got the dog. So that'll be interesting. That'll be very interesting. But that was the only thing from Lionsgate that I recall was cool. But moving on to the Sony panel. So Sony came out swinging pretty hard, I will say. I think Sony put on a solid display. They had quite a lineup for sure. They kind of definitely had some cool reveals, I would say. And obviously we know what I'm going to talk about as far as the big stuff, but I want to get I don't have an image here of their slate that they have, and I wish I did. I wish I had it, and I don't have it in front of me right now. So help me God, my dogs are barking at the absolute worst possible time. Great. Okay, so new Sony, I don't have a picture of the slate, but I've got new Sony movies confirmed at Cinemacon for 2025. Resident Evil, directed by Zach Kreger. He did talk about that. Clara and the Sun, directed by Taika Waititi. Don't care. Grand Gear, directed by Godzilla Minus One, Takashi Yamazaki, in his English language debut. I'll watch that. The Breadwinner, directed by Eric Apple, starring comedian Nate Bargatze. Jumanji 3, directed by Jake Kasdan. Starship Troopers, directed by Neil Blomkamp. Okay, that'll be interesting. Legend of Zelda, right? The Beatles, the 4-film cinematic event by Sam Mendes, right? Yeah. So we've got Paul McCartney being played by Paul Mescal, John Lennon played by Harris Dixon, Ringo Starr will be played by Barry Keoghan, and George Harrison will play Joseph Quinn. All 4 movies teased but simple titled. Paul, John, Ringo, George will be released April of 2028. Karate Kid Legends. That trailer released the very next day. They showed that off. So that was pretty cool. 28 days later, they also showed off. That's right. They also talked about the sequel to that, the Bone Temple. And of course, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse got a release date for June 4th of 2027. And then they showed off some images of that as well. And those images looked fantastic, if I do say so myself. But there was one other, I would say, big, if not the biggest reveal for Spider-Man, a Spider-Man movie, a very, very important Spider-Man movie, definitely. We have a title for Spider-Man 4, and it is called Spider-Man Brand New Day, exclusively in movie theaters, July 31st, 2026. Developed by Marvel Studios in conjunction with Sony Pictures. I really love the sleek logo that they have here. This is a bit of a different one. They took the Spider-Man font and put it in the brand new Day, but then they took like some Spider-Man font you'd see in some comic books, slapped that and gave us the red and blue Spider-Man colors. Destin Daniel Cretton came on stage and announced this title. Tom Holland zoomed in because he's halfway around the world, filming The Odyssey with Christopher Nolan. And they said this film would be a fresh start after that cliffhanger at the end of No Way Home. So I actually have Brand New Day right here. I am making my way through it, funny enough. But so the question then begs, right? Does this movie take place before, during, or after Avengers Doomsday? That is the question. Where exactly does this movie fall on the timeline as far as in conjunction with Avengers Doomsday? Right? Where does it fall? Given that the movie is called Brand New Day, obviously there's some dual meaning there because, yes, Dalton, Brand New Day is being directed by the same guy who did Shang-Chi. This could indicate that, yes, this is a brand new day for Spider-Man following the events of No Way Home easily. This could also indicate that following the events of Doomsday, Spider-Man wakes up to a brand new world where Doctor Doom is the head of things. This very well could just pick up right after Spider-Man No Way Home and play alongside the events of Avengers Doomsday. And then by the end of this movie, the events of Doomsday intertwine with this movie, much akin to how Ant-Man and the Wasp, while technically released after Avengers Infinity War, happened alongside and into Avengers Infinity War. Now, interesting thing about Brand New Day, the book, because I'm making my way through it. There's a couple of different villains. The big one being Mr. Negative. He's a big bad in this book. Jackpot makes her appearance in this. Sadie Sink was recently cast, and I know that's a really fucked up thing to do. Redhead playing a redhead character. I typically don't like to do that. I just find that very interesting and coincidental. Do I think she's actually playing Jackpot? No, I think that'd be too easy. But I find it very interesting that the villain of this book is Mr. Negative. And Mr. Negative is not a Spider-Man villain that has been done yet in live action, and Marvel Studios notoriously wants to utilize villains that have not been done in live action in Spider-Man films. Now, if you apply that logic to any of the other Sony movies, then that would in turn take Kraven, Morbius, Rhino, Madam Web, Ezekiel Sims, Venom, Carnage, Goblin, Ock, players we've seen before off the board, Chameleon included. Fuck that bullshit. Daniel Richman's wrong. Jeff Snyder's wrong. I don't think for a second the Chameleon is the villain in this movie. That would make no fucking sense, and that'd be boring as shit. I'm gonna be real. I've never really liked the Chameleon all that much. He was one of the first Spider-Man villains, if not the. I think he was the first Spider-Man villain. And I think he is like one of the most boring fucking villains out there. Truthfully. Like, wow, he can change his face. Wow, he's the brother of Kraven. Fucking hoo-ha-hey. Good for him. I'm right there with you, Dalton. I would love to see Mr. Negative in a Spider-Man movie. I think this is an excellent time for Mr. Negative to come around. I think this is the movie you do it in. And I hope to God Mr. Negative shows up in this movie, because that would be really fucking cool. But continuing the Spider-Man train of really fucking cool Spider-Man stuff. As I mentioned earlier, we also got just a nice little first look and a release date for Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. And this, you can find the images online easily, but here, I'll share this one with you because I think this is the dopest one, personally. Change out the banner to Beyond the Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse actually got the date of June 4th, 2027. So we're still a couple years away from getting that, which is kind of a shame, but hey, I will take what I can get. I will take what I can get. But this is fucking dope. Miles facing off against his Prowler variant. Oof. Man. This just made me all sorts of happy. I mean, obviously at the end of Across the Spider-Verse, like, they set this up. They set this fight up. They teased us with this fight. And if you were paying attention, Miles does his electric fucking venom shock thing to the chain that he's tied to. So obviously he's going to get out of that. And I don't doubt one bit him and Earth 42 Miles are going to fucking duke it out. It's going to be a hell of a fight. I can't fucking wait for this movie. This movie's going to be dope shit. This movie's going to be absolute dope shit. I can't fucking wait for this movie. And also, like, just bringing it to a close for Sony. Like, I caught the Karate Kid trailer the next day after their Sony panel because they said it would release the following day. So that was cool. I gotta say, Karate Kid Legends looks dope as fuck. Like, Ben Wang, that kid's going places. He did all his own stunts on this movie, apparently. I like the chemistry between Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio. I think they got I mean, the story feels slightly derivative of the very first Karate Kid movie, but that's totally fine. I'm fine with it. I have no problems with it. I think it's going to be a kick-ass movie, pun intended. I think it looks good. I also think that the action and the choreography look really tight and really crisp, which is what you want for an action movie. And it's going to be kind of a shame if this movie puts Mortal Kombat 2 to shame, visually speaking, because Mortal Kombat 2 has the same director as the first 2021 film, Simon McQuoid, which sounds like they understand like how to make the movies from like a lore perspective. But some of the action and editing of that first movie are a little bit to be desired, in my opinion. Like, it's not bad, but it's just not as pristine as it could have been. Like, when you've got the folks of like Chad Stileski or the guys handling Cobra Kai just making action look as crisp and clear and like visceral as possible, and then you watch that Mortal Kombat movie and you're just like, this is like Civil War airplane battle fucking, or airlot battle level. Like, I could leave that if on the cutting room floor if I wanted to. But the Sony panel was actually really surprising. I was very, very pleased with what had come out of Sony. It sounds like they've maybe gotten the Spider-Man fans back in their good graces with this dual Spidey announcement, which frankly I'm not surprised given the lackluster or lack of success from Craven and Madam Web. So it doesn't shock me in the slightest that they're just going to focus more on Spider-Man centered projects. Good for them. But yeah, moving right along. Oh, hey, Taladia. We got William Powell in the chat too. What's up, brother? The next panel, that'd be WB, Warner Brothers. You know, the biggest villains in Hollywood, Warner Brothers. I jest, obviously. But this one started late. Like, they started the panel like 10 minutes late. They let off with Warner Brothers picture stuff. You know, they had Mortal Kombat, had a couple other things. They had the New Line stuff, like fucking Final Destination Bloodlines. I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. There's footage descriptions of all these fucking movies out there, right? You get to Warner Brothers Animation, like Chainsaw mentioned, you know, they announced they're doing more Looney Tunes movies and they show a little bit of Dynamic Duo. I, honest to God, thought they would not show anything from Dynamic Duo, and they did. So that's cool. And the footage description from that sounds pretty cool too. People are calling it like the answer to Spider-Verse, and I kind of hope that's the case, because if it's anything like, if you go to YouTube and search Swaybox, there's like a fucking, like, they remake a scene from Iron Giant with no dialogue, and it's actually pretty fucking cool. But from what I've heard, like, the Swaybox Dynamic Duo thing was like really well received, so that's dope. And then we get to the DC Studios portion of the panel, and mind you, I did this live with Dave on his channel, Dave the Film Junkie. You guys can go check out the Tuesday Cinemacon live reaction to that. And I guess I'm going to answer Donovan's question. To be frank, I'm not mad. I've been saying, like, since Wednesday on Council of Creators, like, it was just disappointing. It was a very lackluster fucking display. Like, yeah, you had Superman, you had the cast of Superman out there. You talked a lot about Superman. You talked a lot about what was known about Superman. Drop some tidbits there about, you know, pocket dimensions and Lex Luthor being some kind of science sorcerer, which is cool, I suppose. But then you show a sneak peek of the movie. You know, you show that, which did make its way online, and I will be talking about that. But other than that, it was nothing. Like, James Gunn was quoted saying, "We've got a couple surprises." What surprises? What surprises, James? I'm still waiting on those surprises, to be brutally honest. Like, what the fuck, dude? And, you know, I've had all manner of responses thrown my way over this. Like, oh, you know, this is just for exhibitors. Oh, you know, this isn't a fan thing. Oh, you know, they don't have too many projects in the works. And I'm like, fucking pump the brakes, okay? Number one, Cinemacon is not just for exhibitors, okay? Because when you've got fucking people like, you know, John Campia and, you know, other critics, friends of mine that I know, and this is no knock to them, but my point is like, this is not just an event for theater owners and exhibitors anymore. Because when you've got fucking influencers over there typing away as fast as they can, which also for the record, shout out to Black Girl Nerds for just keeping it absolutely fucking lit on Threads and keeping the information up to date and crisp and clear as possible. Fucking much love to Black Girl Nerds for just being on point with that shit. But when it comes, again, to the Warner Brothers, when the Warner Brothers panel, you're going to sit here and tell me with a straight face that when Warner Brothers showed their fucking slate of shit coming, they didn't have Supergirl and Clayface up there? Because they did. They absolutely did. The day before Warner Brothers panel, James Gunn shared a fucking image of Millie Alcock reading Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. We know the movie is close to finished filming. Like, come on. This may be my expectations, maybe getting a little bit out of whack, but at the same time, it's like, why are you going to bother putting these movies up there on display, letting people know you have them coming, and then not bother showing anything or mentioning them at all? That is my problem. That is definitely my problem, for sure. That is for sure my problem. Is like, don't sit there and say you have surprises and then not make good on said surprise. Because there really wasn't much of a surprise with any of that. At all. Braden says, I don't like the Marvel versus DC thing, but the past few weeks, Marvel is kicking DC's ass. Got excited over seeing Alan Cumming name on a chair. Even William kind of agrees with me. We were at Comic-Con. Fantastic Four had test footage that they're using in their fucking movie. And they hadn't even begun shooting. They were getting ready to shoot the following Monday from Comic-Con. Superman was already shot. They were weeks away from finishing filming. Nothing. And that's my point here. How are you going to have something for Supergirl in terms of a poster knowing it's coming in 2026, knowing full well that the movie is filming right now, and you can't even so much as like beam in Millie Alcock to go, hey, you know, shooting's going well. Oh, maybe here's an image or something. Like, yes, you're DC Studios. Yes, you are fresh into this thing. You are a brand new autonomous studio. But it feels like, at least to me, it feels like that Warner Brothers marketing still has their hands in this shit, and that is kind of a problem. That is kind of a problem, if in my humble opinion. But it is what it is. They had their thing. I thought it was lackluster as fuck. Honestly. Like, when you have DC Studios and you... Apparently Luca Guadagnino was there too. You can't make mention about Sergeant Rock. And look, I get this whole fucking, you know, oh, don't announce shit and then not do anything. Well, here's the fucking flaw in that logic, everyone. We know for a fact that Supergirl is already shooting. That movie is going to fucking happen unless David Zaslav ends up just getting a massive fucking hair up his ass and decides to cancel that after Superman. Don't really see that happening, but, you know, it is what it is. And Clayface. Like, Clayface is low risk, low reward. If the budget purportedly is at, you know, close to $40 million, that is a low risk, low reward IMO. In my humble appearance. Yes, RJ. Yes, I was surprised that I too was surprised. Dave and I were surprised that they did not talk about Supergirl and Clayface, knowing full well that Clayface is trying to shoot this year if they cannot lock down an actor. But the fact of the matter, the fact they have Supergirl and that movie is filming, close to being done filming, and we get not a word about it, that's kind of bullshit. That's kind of bullshit. And by we, I mean the collective we. Everyone at Cinemacon, fans, whatever, you name it. The fact they did not mention Supergirl at all, it's kind of bullshit. Kind of bullshit. Kind of bullshit. Okay, so during the Warner Brothers panel, they did, in fact, show a sneak peek of Superman. Right? I bet you're all wondering, what did I think of the Superman sneak peek? I've talked to a couple people about this. Well, I guess let me rephrase that. I've had people ask me about my opinion on this. I've discussed it in other Discord servers and whatnot. Rather just maybe one mainly. But I know some people are probably like, well, what does he think? Right? Let's start off with the positives, okay? I think the Fortress of Solitude coming out of the ice is pretty cool. I will start there. I think that's a pretty ingenious idea. As much as I loathe the John Williams theme, I think what John Murphy is doing with it is not bad, even though I do think it's less original than they're making it out to be. I think David Corenswet is going to be fine as Superman. I think that, you know, God, what is her? Rachel Brosnahan, you know, to talk more about the panel itself that included the cast and the way they talked about Superman and the love they had making this movie and, you know, everything that went into it. In fact, she called James Gunn an asshole occasionally on set, made me laugh. I won't lie to you. That was kind of funny. Nicholas Hoult making a joke at the fact that he auditioned for both Superman and Batman and did not get it was also really funny. But that's about all I got in terms of like positive. Okay, no, there is one more. I think the robots being pulled from All-Star, that's a neat idea. I think, you know, it's just something we haven't seen before in a Superman movie. And now here are the things I don't like. Everything with Crypto in that sequence was campy as fuck. I thought it was super campy. Believe me, I have dogs myself. They can get loud. They can get, you know, I wouldn't say out of control. They can get happy, right? They can get very excited, especially with me. Like, I like to play with my dogs. My dogs also know when I'm like hurt and in emotional distress. They don't like, you know, chew on my wrist or, you know, growl. And they basically what I'm getting at is like, if I'm in pain, they're not gonna sit there and want to play. So I'm not saying that's entirely out of character, but I will say that like it is very much like, it doesn't shock me that James Gunn based I almost said Super Dog, Crypto off of his dog Ozu. You could see that, especially with the way he talked about how, you know, Ozu ripped up his fucking $8,000 laptop and all this other shit. It's like, oh, okay, I see what you're going for. Doesn't mean I liked it. If you also pay attention, you can probably hear, I think, Superman's parents, Jor-El and Lara. I think you can hear them, or at least hear what they're saying in Kryptonian speak when he enters the fortress. I think that, you know, the emblem on the fortress is cool too. Like, it looks cool. It's a little weird that the dog just barks and the fucking door opens. I'm like, okay, well, I guess anyone can just kind of walk into the Fortress of Solitude, can't they? Alan Tudyk voicing one of the robots. Yeah, kind of figured that was going to happen. I mean, we all knew he was going to have a voice somewhere in this movie. I'm pretty sure Michael Rooker is another voice of one of the other robots too. I don't really like how overthought the idea of him needing solar radiation to heal his body and his wounds is. And I know that's such a nitpicky thing, but that is just how I feel. Like, I have seen Superman absorb solar radiation in other movies, and it's just simple. It's straight and to the point. I've seen it done in comic books. I've seen it done in the animated series. I've seen it done in television. So while, again, I understand what Gunn is aiming for in terms of like giving him a hyper fucking direct dose of solar radiation from this point on the Earth, and Superman like screaming and having a fit about it and like, oh God, it's painful. I'm just like, you kind of overthought this a little bit much, in my opinion, because I don't think Superman needs to. I don't know. Like, I just feel like that's just, again, an oversimplification of something that doesn't really need to be overthought all that much. Like, again, I've seen Superman absorb solar radiation and just get right back up after being brutally beaten in many other scenarios. So I understand trying to add a sense of realism to it. And I guess this is where, you know, Superman fans can come down my throat for it. I'm going to look at them and be like, well, y'all sat there and lambasted Zack Snyder for a lot of the same shit. Pot calling the kettle black much? Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I also really didn't like I said, I like what John Murphy is doing with the theme, but I don't like that the Williams theme has such a looming presence over this movie. I really don't. I really want something more original with this score. And I really hate that the John Williams theme is so associated with Superman, because then it just bleeds over into other versions that very well could stand on their own with other themes. Like Superman the Animated Series didn't need the Williams theme. Zack Snyder's Superman didn't need the Williams theme, even though there are hints and shades of it in Zimmer's theme. Hell, the CW, Superman and Lois, didn't even need the John Williams theme, and there are shades of it there, very subtle, small shades. Now, is what John Murphy doing better than what John Ottman did? Yeah. At least I think John Ottman did Superman Returns. Let me double check that really quick. But yeah, like I don't like how much of a shadow and grip that the Williams theme has over Superman. I really don't. I think it kind of holds you back a little bit. Where's the music? Yeah, John Ottoman. He did fucking Superman Returns. And he was basically kind of doing, you know, a redux of what Williams did. And again, I feel like what John Murphy here is doing is dare I say, better than John Williams. But at the same time, it's like, I hear the Williams theme and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's Christopher Reeve. That's what that is to me. So I don't know, like when he's hit with the solar radiation and you just hear that swell of that very overt Williams shit, I'm just like, oh fucking come on, man. Like, really? Like, okay, I guess. And there's even a point in the trailer where, you know, like Lex Luthor looks like he's fucking crying. I'm like, all right. At least we heard him talk this time. He says he's back. You know, he's probably walking over to fucking Miss Tessmacher. God forbid. So help me God. If he yells Miss Tessmacher in this movie, I will lose my shit. I fucking hate the Miss Tessmacher. I hate that. I fucking hate that so much. I think that is like one of the dumbest things you could have Lex Luthor do. I think that is just such a dumb signature thing for Lex Luthor. So stupid. I don't like that at all about mainly Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor. I am not a fan of the whole Miss Tessmacher. I think it's stupid. I think it's really overplayed. I think it's dumb. I think it's outdated, and I don't need it in this movie, and I hope to God it doesn't happen in this movie. Okay. I'm gonna brave the chat. What is everyone saying in the chat? I'm very curious. Where did all this start? Let's see. They had Luca there, but didn't even mention Sergeant Rock. I know, RJ. Like that was a problem I had. RJ said the clip we got was cool, and I know you think the clip is cool, and I'm glad you like it. I'm disappointed that the needle moved back for me on this clip because I'm overall to put a pin in it in regards to this clip. The bit with Crypto just reminded me that, like, oh right, this is James Gunn being humorous, and that's the thing I don't like about James Gunn because I don't think he's that funny. I mean, they did say on multiple occasions they were following the Barbie pattern. I don't get the Barbie pattern for this at all. Like, at all. Oh, William loved the dog. You love Crypto. Okay, cool. I'm glad more people love the dog. I am, because, like, again, like, I love my dogs. I do. I love my dogs. But when I see this, I'm just like, okay, there's a reason why I think Crypto hasn't been in a Superman movie because of this. It's a little too campy in my opinion. I'm sorry, but this seemed clear as the Man of Steel theme. I mean, look, man, if you want to feel that way, feel that way. Not everything has to be a pissing match between certain versions of Superman. So I'm not saying it's my theory or whether or not it'll work. It's a strategy they said they were using since it was successful for Barbie. Okay. You should have seen Kingdom of Nerds stream the other night. You had people like Brucifer and Degrassi sucking on that trailer hard. Well, you know, like I said, people are more than entitled to like what they like. Superman is going to be a fun movie. Just get me to Lantern. Oh, William, if I could give you a high five right now, I would. I'm right there with you, brother. Like, I want lanterns as badly as you do. I love me some Jon Stewart. I like Hal Jordan. I like Sinestro. I like Tom King. I like Damon Lindelof. Everything about that show just is going to be amazing to me. Just get me to lanterns. That's right, bud. That's right. Dog was awesome. Cinematography was beautiful. The yellow S on the door. My favorite shot. Really dug the look. Yeah, like I said, I think that the logo on the door is cool, but if Crypto can just bark and the door opens, like, can anyone just kind of fucking walk in to the Fortress of Solitude? I don't know, man. The nitpicking about this is insane. Obviously inspired by Silver Age of Superman, and this is going to be Superman we've never seen before. I never said that was a problem, and I'm not trying to nitpick it, man. I'm just, like RJ said, it's my opinion, dude. Like, I like All-Star Superman just fine. I think elements of it can work. It's just kind of funny that people will give James Gunn a pass for taking inspiration from the same people Zack Snyder did, while they'll turn around and take a giant dump on Zack Snyder for doing Superman things in a Superman movie. It's just kind of weird to me. I've said for the longest time this Superman movie will be focusing on the man in Superman. I feel like Man of Steel kind of did that too. It's kind of in the title. Man of Steel. Because he's a man. Movie Perp gets it. Like, it's okay to not like or be interested in a movie. And I'm not saying I'm not interested. I'm not saying I'm not going to like it. I'm not saying I do like it. Like, there are things in it that I do like. And then I'm reminded, again, with the whole thing with Crypto, like, just jumping around, beating the fuck out of Superman while he's already beating to shit. I'm just like, okay, this is James Gunn doing his humorous thing that he does in a lot of his movies. And it's just something I just don't like. I have inherently never liked James Gunn trying to be humorous in movies because over time, you kind of realize they're just cheap laughs. And that's kind of what this is. I personally love the sneak peek, but I understand your opinion and can respectfully disagree. And look, I'm not asking for people to disagree with me on this. I'm not asking for people to agree with me on this. Like, I was very open and honest about my feelings about this, and I've been open and honest about my feelings about this movie since it was announced. Like, I've been on record saying I'm not James Gunn's biggest fan, and I even say this as someone who really likes Creature Commandos. His other stuff, well, that's a little bit of a different take, right? There is no wrong way to tell a Superman story. I agree. That's why you've got stuff like, God forbid, Superman Red Son, where he fucking lands in Russia. Right? That's why you've got stuff like Birthright, which is a very, early days Superman story. Or you've got something like Superman, All-Star Superman, where it's a very seasoned Superman and he's dealing with some very real world shit, bro. It's there. You're 100% correct, William. There is absolutely no wrong way to fucking tell someone. Like, sorry, let me rephrase that because I fucked that up. There is no wrong way to tell a Superman story. I agree completely. You're 100% with that. To me, Zack Snyder bastardized Superman and tried to make something completely different with him, removing all the joy and optimism in favor of cynical nihilism. I feel like you just read that from a movie article that just lambasted Man of Steel and just wrote that, copied, pasted it into my comment section. Because I don't agree with that in the fucking slightest. At all. Going on, you've been reading or watching. I hate how people are praising the new Superman movie and have no problem taking crap and calling Fantastic Four First Steps mid. And I'm like, seriously. And honestly, Mom, what? I don't know if that's like a Twitter thing. I don't know where you're seeing this, but I think people like that should not be taken seriously, because while Fantastic Four I have more excitement for than Superman, that doesn't mean I'm like throwing Superman under the bus or whatever. Like, I think, again, like going back to this Marvel versus DC thing, while I do agree in terms of marketing, Dalton's got a point of like DC is just getting their ass handed to them by Marvel when it comes to marketing their projects. I still think like a pissing match between the two of like which one's better or whatever is kind of pointless. But overall, like, it's okay to like them both. It's 100% okay to like them both. And I can say that as someone who, it took me a very long time to even understand that concept, because I was for a long time just very narrow-minded and very pig-headed and very like pro DC, pro Batman, fuck Marvel. Like, I can admit I was like that at one point in my life, and I have grown past that. I wish other people on the internet could do the same, but it's very hard apparently. I don't have the nostalgia for Reeves, and he's not my favorite Superman, but his theme is what I think about when I think of Superman. Like the dog element, it helps the vibes, in my opinion. See? I understand where you're coming from. I do. I would also posit that it's not going to be the same for everyone. I'm not saying you're saying that, but like when it comes to Superman for me, I think for me, it's way more than just the theme, right? Like, if you ask me what theme do I think of when I think of the character, that's a very specific question, as opposed to what do you think about when it comes to the character of Superman? I think for me, immediately, the theme is like maybe 4th, 5th, or 6th on that list of things when it comes to Superman that I think of. I mean, off the top of my mind, when I think of Superman, I think of like Kryptonian elements. I think of, you know, the inherent decency that the Kents instilled upon him. I think of Clark Kent, the reporter by day, and then the Superman hero in the shadows, right? Like I think of fucking his time as a member of the Justice League. I think when it comes to these fictional characters, whenever you think of one in particular, there are certain things that are going to take precedence over other things. So to me, the theme, there is no one theme that I synonymously identify with Superman. And I know for a lot of people that probably is the John Williams theme, and that's totally fine. I just think it's a bit of an outdated thing. And that's just me, though. Yes, people are allowed to have their different opinions. Superman is probably going to be a great movie. I just want Green Lantern. Man, there are so many just great Green Lantern fans in my chat today. William, Braden, fuck yeah, I love it. I can't wait. Cannot wait. I just read an article from IGN. Well, that's your problem right there. You read an article from IGN. IGN's garbage. They like, it's literally in their title, Internet Gaming News, and why are they talking about movies? That doesn't make any fucking sense at all. Like they are garbage when it comes to reviewing comic book, superhero, anything. I mean, for Christ's sake, IGN gave the first episode of The Penguin a 5. Anyone at IGN talking about superheroes doesn't have a fucking clue of what they're talking about, dude. As for the theme, I like both Williams and Zimmer. I'll be honest though, Man of Steel's theme is my favorite. Strangely makes me cry. Yeah, absolutely. I've been seeing it from mid-level YouTubers who are hardcore fanboys who like to talk shit about the normies and general audiences, all because they never read comic books, and it's like toxic bullshit. Well, here's what I say to that, Mumwhat. Here's what I say to that. These mid-level YouTubers, these fucking idiots, you know, they think they know what's best for superhero movies. They think they can probably maybe make an impact. Here's what I think about that. Here's what I think about them in general.
I'm like, that's cool, but you're living in a fucking dream world, okay? So
they live in a fucking dream world. They think their opinion amounts to something, and it amounts to fuck all. That's my humble opinion. IMO. The fuck? Weird text message. Weird text message indeed. Lance says, I'm here to get stuff with some Phil. Claudia says, I'm interested in lanterns. Lance says, Superman and Lois had the best theme. See? There you go. Someone who likes Superman and Lois, that theme. There you go. Are you going to talk about Switch 2? I wanted to pick your brain about a lot of the news going on. Well, I did do a live stream reaction to the Switch 2. I will say that I'm very disappointed that we in the US will not be able to pre-order it because of tariffs imposed by the current president of the United States. That bothers me very greatly, and I'm wondering if the price will increase because of it. I hope it doesn't, but I am already on a list for Nintendo to pre-order it when I'm able to. So if you have questions in regarding the Switch, you know, feel free to just drop them. I'll try and get to them when I can. I still have one other bit of Cinemacon to go over before I decide to wrap it up. Mumba says, thank you. You made my night. Damn, I'm not even a mid-level YouTuber. I mean, you have more followers than I do. I don't know if that constitutes you being a mid-level YouTuber, but I don't think you're one of the mid-level YouTubers I was talking about. So I don't think you fall into that category. I don't think you're, you know, I don't think you're living in a fucking dream world because, well, we've had many, many discussions about this time and time again. So fuck that guy. It's fucking bullshit that we can't pre-order the Nintendo Switch 2. Bro, I read that news there and I was just like, fuck Donald Trump. Fucking ass clown. Like, I looked at that and I was just like, you fucking clown. Homie has no idea what the fuck these tariffs are going to do to the United States, and I'm just kind of sitting back, just shaking my head. How do you feel about the prices and tariff situation? It seems like the U.S. is getting fucked when it comes to how much system games are going to cost. I agree, RJ. I think the United States is getting royally reamed when it comes to the price, because if you do conversion from a Japanese price of a Switch 2 to a fucking American price of a Switch 2, there's almost $100, if not more, difference, and it's all because of one stupid motherfucker, and that fucking dumb motherfucker is Donald Trump. I think it's bullshit. I think it's bogus. I think it's absolutely fucking bogus that we have to pay so much more because that dumb shit doesn't know how tariffs actually work. Like, oh, we're going to have more American-made shit. Okay. Show me an American company that's going to make a Nintendo Switch 2. Oh, wait, you can't. Because Nintendo is a fucking Japanese company. Granted, I've seen even some people saying, like, oh, we'll just get a Steam Deck. No! I'm a Nintendo fan! I want to play Nintendo games on my fucking Nintendo Switch! That's what I want. I want a Nintendo Switch 2. I don't want to fucking buy a Steam Deck. I don't want to wait to buy a Nintendo Switch 2 for when the price drops. No, I want to purchase the damn thing at a reasonable price. Now, is it fucked that it's like $450 compared to when the Switch dropped at $300? Yes. Yes, it is. But I would also posit that inflation fucked that up. Donald Trump absolutely fucked that up. And William even saying in the chat, these tariffs are going to fuck me in Vegas. Bro, California, oh my God, gas has gone up by damn near a whole dollar in 3 weeks. I fucking hate it here. How do you feel about them charging $80 for Mario Kart? Okay, that I think is bullshit. Because apparently Donkey Kong is like $69.99. It's a $70 fucking game, apparently. But why the fuck is Mario Kart $80? That doesn't make any sense to me. I think that's kind of bullshit. I will say it's nice to see that there will be, you know, Switch games that go from Switch to Switch 2 and they get like an upgrade, kind of like how you did PS4 to PS5. My question for that though is what is the upgrade price? Like, what do I have to pay to upgrade my Switch copy of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom to my Switch 2 copy of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom? Because if I have to pay a full fucking $50 for an upgrade, fucking sit on my shit and spin. I'm not paying that. If it's like a $10 thing, like how they did the upgrades from PS4 to 5 or Xbox One to Series X, cool. That's great. That's what you need to do. That's how you keep your consumer happy. But if you're going to do anything more than, say, $20, sorry, that's a little too much for an upgrade. Okay with the console being $450. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I can do that. I can pay that off. I have no fucking problem pre-ordering and paying the damn thing off in one fell swoop. I have no issue doing that at all. I hope it's similar to the PS5 upgrade. I agree. I want it to be similar to the PS5 upgrade. I hope it is. I fucking hope it is. I really do, because if it's anything more than that, I'm going to be fucking furious. Another question I'm posed with is, do I buy a Legend ZA copy for Switch, or do I just go straight to Switch 2? Like, as a Pokemon fan, I'm genuinely torn. It's going to boil down to, like, how soon can I get a Switch 2? That's ultimately what it's going to boil down to. Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza look amazing. Almost all the games they showed were great. The direct overall was dope. The cost of the systems are basically what everyone was. And they didn't reveal that for those reasons, because they knew people in the States were going to fucking bitch and complain, even though 50% of them probably voted for the current administration. So it's like, well, you voted for this, so... I will say that, like, again, I have no problem like paying $450 for a new console. I don't. I have no issue doing that at all. I really don't. I have fucking zero issue paying that much money. And if I really wanted to, I could trade in one of my Switches and put it towards the Switch 2 if I really fucking wanted to. And I might. I don't know. Kind of boils down to where I'm at personally. As far as like $80 games though, that's bullshit. I also think it's bullshit that they went from 2 different memory SanDisk sticks as far as memory goes. That's also kind of fucked up, but I digress. I do like 256 gigs of internal storage. That's nice. I will say that much. The only bright side of the situation is that the Switch ends up being $500 to $600 because of tariffs. Pre-orders may be easier to get because many won't spend that money. Well, Nintendo already has like a scalper system in place on their website because you have to have like 50 or more hours logged in on a Switch just to fucking pre-order a second one. Or rather, pre-order a Switch 2, you have to have at least 50 hours logged in on a Nintendo Switch through your Nintendo account, which is honestly a really smart way to do it. All right. Speaking of smart, let's hit the last panel of Cinemacon. We're going to change topics here again. So the Disney panel at Cinemacon. They had the Tron trailer show, right? They showed that off. I think they did that. Yeah, they showed the Tron trailer, and that drops tomorrow. So that'll be cool. I think. I don't know. Honestly, I haven't even seen the second Tron movie. I have not seen Tron Legacy. I watched the first one with my dad a couple years ago. It's like, oh, this is cool. We watched that in Westworld like back to back, but I had no desire to watch Tron Legacy. Tron Ares. Okay. Cool. What I really wanted to talk about, though, was Fantastic Four: The First Steps. That's right. So I'm sitting in Discord. A friend of mine at Cinemacon was like, he immediately hits the Discord chat and he's like, oh my God, we just saw Silver Surfer. And I was like, oh man. I don't doubt one bit that if we get another trailer for Fantastic Four, we will. We will likely get a first look at Silver Surfer, Julia Gardner as the Silver Surfer. I think we're definitely going to get a first look at that. It was nice to see that Sue Storm is confirmed to be pregnant. I'm very happy at that notion, because that means Franklin Richards is coming to the MCU, and I fucking love Franklin Richards. That kid is amazingly overpowered, and he's probably going to be like the only character who could probably take out Galactus. Very excited at the prospect of Franklin Richards coming to the MCU. I mean, frankly, I'm just really excited for this movie. I really like the Fantastic Four as a concept. I love Matt Shakman as a director because he did some episodes of Monarch, Legacy of the Monsters. He handled WandaVision. So I'm game for this movie. You know, it's a period piece set in the 60s on an alternate universe. The Fantastic Four are the only heroes on it. Fuck yeah. Like, this is gonna be amazing. Like, this is gonna be, in my opinion, probably the superhero movie of the year. No joke. Like, I think Fantastic Four is gonna be fucking awesome. Movie looks incredible. And I was even reading a piece from, I think it's Empire, about how Shakman opted to use practical stuff. Like, they built like a 14-inch fucking model of the space rock, and I'm like, oh my God, you're doing it just like Kubrick did. Oh God, this is just so fucking good. I was just so happy and so relieved to see that. I was just like, this is fucking awesome. So happy. So fucking happy. This is going to be a practically made movie for the most part. And I can't fucking wait. I can't fucking wait for the Fantastic Four. Oh my God. The Fantastic Four: The First Steps releases July 25th, 2025. And if I am at Comic-Con this year, chances are I will probably be watching this movie with William again, like we watched Deadpool and Wolverine last year. Because I fucking hope so, because that would be really effing cool. Speaking of other movies, they had Thunderbolts up there as well. They had the cast come out. I don't really know what else, and I only just saw bits and pieces of, you know, the Thunderbolts cast was there. Wyatt Russell made a fucking joke about blowing like $3,000 at the casino. Well, if you're Wyatt Russell, you could probably do that and have no fucking problem doing it. But, you know, movie looks cool. I'm going to watch it. I will watch that movie, like day one, opening weekend. Looks good. Looks really good. I think it's got a very interesting premise to it. all these misfits from the MCU kind of band together to take on a character like Sentry who's essentially like maybe being controlled by Valentina Contessa de Fontaine, whatever the fuck her name is, Julia Louis-Dreyfus' character. So I'm gonna watch Thunderbolts as well. But apparently also, last thing we'll talk about, Avengers Doomsday. Okay, so Kevin Feige beamed in from the set of Avengers Doomsday. They are days away from filming this fucking movie. Kevin Feige took it upon himself to confirm that the cast for Avengers Doomsday has not been fully revealed. So those 26 names that we saw, yeah, that's only some of the people that are in this fucking movie. But, obviously, Tom Holland may or may not be in it because he's filming The Odyssey and then he's going to jump right to Spider-Man after that. So if he films anything for this movie, it'll probably be hush, hush, quiet, quiet. Pretty sure Chris Pratt let it slip that he's going to be in this movie, even though he didn't get a chair. Wouldn't doubt one bit if you see Peter Quill pop up somewhere in this movie. I believe Kevin Feige also confirmed that the Avengers, the Wakandans, the Thunderbolts, and the Fantastic Four, as well as the original X-Men who were all named in that cast call, they will all be going up against Doctor Doom. I'm so ready for this movie. Next May cannot come fast enough. Like hot diggity damn. Hell yeah. I can't fucking wait to watch Avengers Doomsday. And I can't wait to watch Robert Downey Jr. put on that iron mask and fucking lay waste as Doctor Doom. This movie is going to be the fucking sauce. Oh my God. And even like that musical bit you got of Silvestri's score there towards the end of the Doomsday in production video that was 5.5 hours long. Oh my God. So fucking good. I was watching Avengers Endgame last night and I'm just like, man, if Doomsday and Secret Wars are anything on this caliber, it's going to be a real hard topper after this. Like, it's going to be really hard to top the Multiverse Saga, at least as far as Avengers movies go. Because obviously the Multiverse Saga has been kind of like up and down in terms of quality. But Mumbot says, imagine if Doctor Doom kills Star-Lord. I'm going to go ahead and put the hat in the ring for Doctor Doom is probably going to kill Thor. That's my guess. I think Doctor Doom's going to kill Thor. Happy to be wrong, but I think Doctor Doom will kill Thor in this movie. That's why Chris Hemsworth was the first one shown and why his chair was at the fucking end, relatively speaking. Because who was at the front? Robert Downey Jr., Pedro Pascal, as well as the other X-Men. All I'm saying is Chris Hemsworth probably last because maybe he might not have much screen time. I don't know. I know Halle Berry was also asked on the carpet at Cinemacon why she didn't get a chair, and she was like, oh, they haven't called me. She could be playing coy. She is well-versed in this shit. I think she could be playing coy. But if Halle Berry doesn't show up as Storm in either of these movies, I will be sad. I don't think Anna Paquin's going to show up because she's dealing with some kind of some illness. So I don't think she'll show up as Rogue. That's just a guess, personally. I absolutely think Famke Janssen's going to show up as Jean Grey. That's my guess. Deadpool and Wolverine, right? Hi, Ray. I see you in the chat. Good to have you here. Where are Deadpool and Wolverine, right? Seen some theories floating around that they might only be in Secret Wars. Okay, I can kind of understand that. I think if you put them in this movie, that would help it. But I also think that they are such, at least tonally now, like, I think Wolverine and Deadpool are almost in a class of their own. And obviously we've seen Hugh Jackman play well with the rest of this cast. Ryan Reynolds, on the other hand, Deadpool is a very specific character, and he does very specific things. And he does very specific things that are pertinent to an R-rated movie. I think if you put him in a PG-13 movie, you kind of he's almost on a leash in a certain respect. But I also think that you can get away with doing Deadpool things in a PG-13 movie and still have it be funny and still have it feel fresh and authentic to who the character is. I also think that it's quite plausible they could just save both of them as like some big guns for Secret Wars. I think that is absolutely possibly the case. But I don't know. Time will tell. I certainly hope that Chris Evans comes back in some capacity for either one of these movies. Hell, if he's only in Secret Wars, I'll just take that. I don't even care. Scarlett Johansson kind of feels like her and Elizabeth Olsen are like, yeah, no, we're good. We don't want to come back. But again, like they could be taking a note out from Andrew Garfield and just playing the wolf, playing completely blissfully ignorant, be like, I ain't coming back. And then when we see them in that fucking movie, shock, shock, surprise, surprise. So I don't know. It'd be cool. It'd be super fucking cool to have Scarlet Witch and Black Widow pop back up. I mean, especially for Yelena. Like I would really like to see like her reaction to seeing Natasha. I would really like to see that. But whether or not it's actually her or a different variant of her, it's going to be kind of a different thing. So I don't know. I have no idea. As we've also seen, like, Avengers Endgame just sets up this idea of, like, things, Infinity Stones, or even people can be plucked out of a certain point in time so long as they're put back in at that same point in time. So I think you can probably get away with having a Black Widow, a Captain America, hell, even an Iron Man plucked from various points across the MCU timeline and have them thrusted into this. But it kind of depends on the story that Mr. McFeely is going to write. So, what you're right. I will not forget Haley Atwell. Like, how could I? I hope she gets a little bit more to do if she comes back as Agent Carter. That would be very cool. But I think that's about it. I mean, Cinemacon was cool. You know, I've got my thoughts and opinions on the whole Superman thing. I might clip that out and just make it its own video. We'll see. But overall, you know, I thought Cinemacon had some pretty sweet reveals to it. If and when a Superman trailer drops, we will probably be here talking about it. Anything else coming from, you know, as far as casting for Avengers Doomsday, be here talking about it. Any advancements on Spider-Man Brand New Day, I'll be here talking about it. Here every Friday, 4 o'clock standard, 4 o'clock Pacific time, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. Do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me out greatly. You know, do that thing. Love talking with everyone. Love everyone who came in. You know, Braden, Mumwet, Rhea, Donovan, William, Dalton, Chainsaw, Lance. God, I feel like I'm forgetting someone. RJ, thank you. Braden, Little Movie Perp versus Seed. Am I missing anybody? I got Dalton. Chainsaw, mentioned you already. Hunter Iggy, thank you for popping in, leaving a question. But yeah, everyone, thank you again for tuning in. It really appreciate it. Taladia as well. You know, we talk like every day. But I hope to see a lot of you at the vodka stream later tonight. As always, everyone. Jeffrey, if you have been here the whole time, thank you for tuning in, man. I just see you pop in. But yeah, everyone, have a great rest of your weekend. Hope it's lovely. Hope it's quiet. Hope it's, you know, serendipitous, as I always love to say. Much love. Take care. Have a great rest of your weekend.